I have a classmate. For the sake of privacy, let's just call him Mr. R, who is a know-it-all in the technology fields. And he is mostly known for his timely knowledge of recent technological developments. So when a new chess AI comes out, he'll be the first one to know it. When a new robot is invented, he'll also be the first one to know it. Now, when a company decides to release its newest software at 12 p.m., he'll probably get top news about it at 11:50. So one day, he presented me with a poem written in Chinese, written with a very elegant prose. And I know he isn't really a poetry guy, so I asked him how. He told me that ChatGPT wrote it. Now, with some denial in mind, I opened up my computer and I registered an account. When typing the prompt, "Describe a beautiful unicorn," into the engine, I expected the AI to emit awkward sentences resembling a 4-year-old's writing. The result, however, caught me off guard. This AI presented me with a full-length description of a galloping unicorn with radiant colors. Here is ChatGPT, the indisputable game changer of the modern artificial intelligence field, made capable through a blend of both machine learning and data collection skills. So first, let's talk about how ChatGPT works, the mechanism behind its great function. At first, human AI trainers are responsible for giving ChatGPT training prompts such as "explain who Taylor Swift is," and then spoon-fed it the desired answers. Now, in the first phase, those trainers will be responsible to give ChatGPT answers like explaining how Taylor Swift is the most famous singer in modern day America. Now, after many training in the first phase, they will now progress into the second phase, in which ChatGPT, who is initially unskilled, will provide different responses that the trainers will rank from 1 to 4. Now, after all those training, ChatGPT will move on to phase 3, where the trainers will ask it to walk independently on its own using an algorithm called Proximal Policy Optimization, abbreviated form PPO, which allows ChatGPT to answer questions and tune its responses much better than other types of artificial intelligence. Now, with all those trainings, ChatGPT demonstrated how practice makes perfect. Its witty responses to questions have gathered a staggering 100 million active users in January alone. Now, those of you who have already used ChatGPT before definitely knows how powerful it is. Ask it anything. For example, if some of you want to write a poem about the winter landscape in New Zealand, here you go. If some of you want to analyze the impact Rick Roll has on the internet, sure, here it is. Now, in the third case, if some of you want to write a critique of the high schoolers taking too many AP classes, you can also ask ChatGPT to do that for you. Now, in all those 3 cases, I've asked ChatGPT to give me those responses, meaning that they are indeed authentic. Now, of course, ChatGPT is not as proficient in writing as some of the English writers in our world, so if you possibly want to use this for your homework and essay, I'm sure your English teacher will find out. And even if they don't, online cheating checkers will. A Princeton graduate called Edward Chen had recently just launched his Zero GPT, which detects any signs of GPT in any works. So basically, if some individuals want to cheat an essay by using ChatGPT tomorrow, please just don't do that. Now, what's more, the company OpenAI is constantly creating better versions of ChatGPT, and its functions are far beyond writing essays. For example, if you want to learn Spanish but you don't know Spanish, you can always ask ChatGPT to use English mnemonics to learn Spanish effectively. Now in this case, if you use both ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4, you will notice that ChatGPT 4, the newest version, can give you much clearer and simple strategies so you can learn Spanish more productively. Now in case 2, assuming you are tired in a Friday evening and you don't know what to cook, you can always upload an image on ChatGPT 4 so it can give you various plans about what to cook, and you can choose one of the options based on your own preference. Now moving on to case 3, which is about its performances on standardized tests. Well, ChatGPT 3.5 can only score a 2 out of 5 in Calculus AB. ChatGPT 4 can actually score a 4 out of 5 on this exam independently. Now, of course, ChatGPT still has some downsides and many defects, as what I have said before, such as ChatGPT 4 score on AP language, which is unfortunately a 2 out of 5, which means that it's really not that perfect. Now, based on all its previous capabilities that I have described before, though, it indeed has the potential to revolutionize both the workspace we have and our education field. So Professor Erk Johnson, who is the Stanford Digital Economy Lab director, has once commented that ChatGPT will not replace lawyers, but replace those who will not cooperate with the AI and happens to choose the lawyer as a career. Now, what ChatGPT can do is to accurately extract data from large data sets from case laws, and it can provide you with much clearer answers, outsmarting Google by providing them instantly. Now, of course, ChatGPT can also help individuals who are doing the computer science fields. For example, if a computer engineer wants to revise his code, he can always consult ChatGPT to create a new segment to replace his original code to see which runs more effectively. Of course, even those with media jobs can be highly benefited from using ChatGPT. It can always check your grammar errors easily, and different from previous writing AIs, it can give you some very valuable suggestions on the tone and the strategies you employ on those advertisements. For example, here's an advertisement that ChatGPT has created about our famous luxury car brand, Rolls-Royce. In this case, ChatGPT has described Rolls-Royce as a very luxurious car with a high sense of professionalism, making it an optimal choice for many of the advertisers. Now, in the meantime, ChatGPT also facilitates our education by having the potential to grade essay exams, especially those in the liberal arts field, as well as evaluating school admissions, which is based on multiple variables analysis. Now, in all of these ways, ChatGPT 4 can offer the solution to many smaller but still challenging problems. Now, of course, ChatGPT still has many defects. For example, ChatGPT cannot provide you with responses that's outside the dataset it has previously studied. If you ask a question about training video games to ChatGPT, and unfortunately it has only studied datasets about cats, it'll probably only give you answers about, with the example of this kitten and other things that are only relevant with cats. Now, in the real scenario, which is in our world, ChatGPT has only studied datasets until 2021, so its knowledge is still pretty much limited. Furthermore, ChatGPT's responses can sometimes be not practical based on specific circumstances. For example, if a person is currently under attack from a tsunami asking for ChatGPT for help, ChatGPT can give you a full paragraph description about various evacuation protocols without just telling you to run, which might actually cost you a life in many cases. Now finally, individuals can also manipulate ChatGPT for malicious purposes, including asking it to post false information on social media and other sites on the internet to spread false information, acting like those internet bots from Russia during the 2016 US election. Knowing both of all these ways, ChatGPT isn't really the safe and omnipotent problem solver that we expected. Now, whether we think ChatGPT is a blessing or curse, one fact remains unchanged. ChatGPT, from composing essays to compiling code, is still the leader of many AIs we see nowadays. It is powerful, and it can only be more powerful. So let us open our computers and our minds to see how ChatGPT shapes our future. Thank you.